Hey, hey. Hello. Hey, Cummins is culture. What's going on? I didn't put no music there for you, but I'll do it for you. I'll do it for you now. I just put that on. I'm gonna let a few people join in on going live on Facebook also. So hang with me, Cummins and culture, just for a second. This is we'll talk a little preacher talk real quick. Waiting on just a couple. Yeah. Hello. Hello to you guys, whoever is coming on Facebook on my page here. And to Cummins and Culture. Do I know you, Cummins and Culture? Do I know you? Have you listened to my show before? I primarily talk sports, but tonight I'm going a little religion tonight. I'll stop it there. Listen, I know it is late. And but whenever I feel a little bit of spirit, I guess, touch me like that. Yeah, hey David, I need to talk something. I usually don't do this spur of the moment. Usually I give some type of prelude or some kind of preview to let you guys know what I'm talking about, but it just hit me so quickly that I got to share this now. We're living in this preacher talk. I hope that a lot of my preacher friends jump on, and I hope some pastors that will jump on as well. If one thing that the pandemic has taught us is that you could be gone, with a snap of a finger. You could be here today and in the hospital alone tomorrow, and then the very next day you will die. And I have seen it. I've had a family member, a pastor who has died during this time. I've had a couple friends who have one more who's died, a pastor. I've had a few friends that have gotten sick with it. They did not die, but they were obviously at least isolated away from their church family. In some instances, they were prepared, and I'll get into the reason why in just a second. But in a lot of other reasons, they were not prepared, and the church suffered. I'm talking to pastors now, and some of you may say, "Well, who are you?" Well, I'm not a senior pastor, but I function like one. I'm an assistant pastor at a church, though. I mean, I don't know the load, I guess, that some of you may have, but at least in this area, what I'm talking about tonight, I believe I'm more than qualified to say what I'm getting ready to say. So I don't want to get into that little knick-knack, paddywhack, little stuff like, who are you? We got to leave that stuff alone. We need to start hearing. The pandemic changed everything. It changed everything. It's not the way that it's going to be. It's forever changed. One thing we should have learned as pastors or leaders in the church, I guess this would apply to even your auxiliary heads or anything else. What we have to do, and what has been at the same time a failure in the church, is that we have not prepared the people under us to step in at a moment's notice. And because of that, in a lot of areas, the church has suffered. And one of the things that I believe is a problem, and I just got this revelation tonight, that's why I'm here, coming just all of a sudden. I usually prepare everybody for my podcast, but I didn't even play my music or nothing like that. It just hit me. So I got to share this, and this may help somebody. I hope it does. I'm going to make sure, hey, Glenn on Podbean, I'm going to make sure that I do my part. Here's what I have to say. Here's the problem with the church. Here's my little revelation I got tonight. Hey, Chris, I see you. Hey, Chris, here it is. Listen to me. The old church saying, where scripture that says that your cup runneth, David said, my cup runneth over. Okay. My cup runneth over, which means if you picture a glass, the oil or the liquid that is being poured into the glass, the cup cannot hold it. And so the liquid would run over and flow down. It flows down. It's all, and in church, what we learned is that the anointing flows down. You know what the problem is, and this is all I come to talk about tonight. Here's what our problem is. When the cup started running over, a lot of our pastors went and got a bigger cup. They don't want it to run over. And so what you'll have is one person in a church, a mega church, that will lead hundreds, in some cases thousands, and act as if they're going to be here always. And they hadn't taught nobody nothing. And I'm not talking about me, because if y'all know me, y'all know I'm being, I'm not being braggadocious by no means, but I've learned from one of the best. I'm really not being braggadocious. I'm telling you, there are things that need to be taught beyond Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. There's a business side of the church that has to be taught. There's things that have to be taught that go beyond just cranking the organ up on at a A flat and hoop and holler and scream and run and dance. There's more to church than that. Church is a business. I know some of y'all not gonna like that, but it's just the truth. Church is also a business. It is. I've learned that. I mean, I know what I'm talking about because I've conducted business for the church. I know what I'm talking about. Bruh, pastors, we got to, thank you, David. I agree with you 100%. Bruh, pastors, you're not going to be here always. The pandemic has taught us this. This is all I got to say tonight. I ain't trying to shout nobody. I ain't trying to do all that. Hello, those that are on Podbean. I'm not trying to shout nobody or anything. I'm telling you guys and ladies that are pastors, you need to really lock in and try to find some help to help you in your ministry, because you just don't know. You don't want to be. I've seen pastors die and the churches go down, and it's a shame that in 10 years you ain't found somebody, and maybe that is the case. Maybe they're just not prepared, or whatever the case may be. But certainly, don't go get a bigger cup so your cup won't run over you. And what that produces is, in today's ministers are almost kind of like renegades. Yeah, I said it. A lot of people not gonna like it, but it's just the truth. They move without a covering because they're anxious, they're not patient, and then some of them, yes, will lie and say that the Lord told me. See, nobody can check you on that because nobody knows what the Lord has told you. So somebody got to trust him, but you'll say that. And a lot of time we got this new crop of preachers now that really aren't behind the senior pastor, but what they're doing is using the church and the church name to advance themselves. I know what I'm talking about. That's what not properly training your people or investing into your people. That's what it will do. It will cause people to move when they're supposed to sit. And brother pastors, it'll also mess your vision up. There are some people that are sitting that need to be moving. I'm not saying they're supposed to take your seat. I'm not saying that at all. I'm not even trying to imply that. What I'm saying is that you're going to die one day. You're going to die. And the only reason why I'm saying this is because I've seen that happen just recently. Hey, everybody. I've seen that just recently where people are, pastors have died. And the church is like, what do we do next? Well, I mean, where we go? Where, huh? No. We need to start searching, as David, who's a preacher himself, have said. If you haven't started trying to find your Joshua, you may not find them, but you need to at least open your eyes for Joshua. Especially, I just go ahead and say it. Especially our older pastors. I mean, come on now. I'm sorry. It's the church got to keep moving, even when you leave. Yeah. See, this is not popular talk right here, but it's real talk. It really is. It really is. Yes, especially our older pastors. Yes, our older pastors. If you 60 plus and you've been pastoring for 25 to 30 years, and you ain't, there should be some type of preparation stage in the event that you leave here, that something is put in place. Not saying that person is supposed to be the next pastor, but at least the church ought to know that, hey, I trust him or her. The church should already know that. The church should already know that. They should. It's real simple. It's like if pastor is leaving out of town and says that he's going away for 2 weeks, okay? The church, based off what they've seen the pastor do with this other person, should already know, like, okay, for 2 weeks, I know I'm going to hear him or her. Y'all don't like what I'm saying. It's just there's preparation that has to happen. The preparation should not be when they put us, when they say ash to ashes and dust to dust, when we die, put us in the ground, and then we try to get prepared. No, it's too late then. Pastors are it's some that are greedy like that, And I've seen it. They go get a bigger cup. They don't want the cup to run over. They don't want it nothing to flow down. They don't want it. They want all to themselves. And when they do it, I don't mean to speak subliminally or nothing like that, because I have preacher friends all across this country, and so ain't no sense of nobody trying to play no mystery game, trying to figure out what I'm talking about. This has been going on for a whole year. Hey, Mama, I see you. This has been going on for the pandemic overall. How many pastors have died unexpectedly, and the church is just lost because there has been nothing being put in place? I'm fortunate. I'm fortunate. I will say that I am fortunate. And I know it's late at night and some of y'all got to go to work in the morning. We all got to go. It just hit me now, so I feel like I need to say something. To at least try to open up the pastor's eyes. Look, if you don't have to name your Joshua, but you need to start looking for your Joshua. You don't even have to announce that you looking for Joshua. You ain't got to do that. But bro, pastors, especially our older pastors, look, you ain't got to announce to nobody. You need to ask God to give you insight and wisdom on somebody that you can kind of lock in on and see if they're pastoral material. You've heard them preach. We ain't talking about preaching because you've already heard them preach. So you know what the person is capable of preaching or teaching. You already know that. We ain't talking about that. No. We ain't talking about that. We're talking about all aspects of life. Can this person lead? And if you don't have to name Joshua, you don't have to name your Joshua. You don't have to. But you need to start looking. You need to start looking for them. And here's another thing that our pastors are doing. We're investing in the wrong people. See, I said find your Joshua. And y'all got to go to Bible to understand what I'm talking about. Instead of finding Joshua, y'all trying to act like Aaron and Miriam are actually Joshua. I know they just went over some of you. Y'all don't understand what I'm saying. You have to go Bible. We're mistaking Aaron for Joshua. Yeah. You're investing your time and effort into the wrong people. There's a difference between talented people and anointed people. Mm-hmm. Yes, they can sing. Okay, good. They can do all the runs in the world singing, but that don't mean they're anointed. That just mean they can sing. It just mean they're gifted in singing. Usually a person that can sing, if they're a preacher, usually a person that can sing can tune up and hoop. I'm just calling it like it is. If they can sing a song, y'all like they singing, that means usually 9 times out of 10, they can tune up and sing their way out of a sermon. It just mean they're melodious. It don't mean because they can holler a little longer than the usual person. That doesn't mean that they're anointed. It just mean they can holler. That's all. Lord have mercy. Yeah. I mean, come on now. A lot of us are still in that phase about saying, okay, how your pastor did your pastor preach today? Yeah, he tore the house down. He tore the house down. Well, what he talk about? I don't know, but he sure hollered today. Pandemic changed everything, y'all. And you need to start looking. You need to start looking. You need to start looking. We're living in a time now where everybody got a platform. It's just like what I'm doing right now. When y'all used to see me, I'm talking football. I refuse to preach on Facebook. That's just me. I'm not saying you're wrong if you do. I'm just saying that's not me. There are too many preachers on Facebook. I mean, I'm not. That's not me. A lot of people have heard me speak many occasions. They'll tell you what I can do and what I can't do and all that kind of stuff. I do my stuff here, but every now and then I feel this unction, and I'll go ahead and say, what God put on my heart. You don't want your church to die, literally die. You got to start looking and investing into your ministers. I ain't talking about these ministers that join this Sunday and then be gone church hopping 2 months from now. No. Some of you have ministers on your staff that have been there for 10 plus years. You mean, hey, 10 years they know the vision, 10 years they know how the church functions, 10 years they know what the people need. They have a pulse on the church. They know what time it is. We got to start investing into what's in the house. Stop looking outside the house. You got to start looking inside the house. You got to start dropping the nuggets that you have, or whatever it is that you learn, or whatever God has revealed to you. You got to share that just in case you drop dead somewhere. Just in case, forget dropping dead. You may want to take your family on a 2-week vacation. You got to leave the hands in the church. Look, and if your answer is, let me tell you something. If you got a church and you got at least 20 ministers in your church, and when you leave out of town for 2 weeks, you got to go outside because you just don't feel like the people inside gonna care, and that may be the case, but that's sad. That's sad. It's sad that you got to go outside. You got to go get a guest preacher. You got to go get a guest preacher. Somebody that's going, who you think going to hold the attention. And you got to start investing. I mean, I'm talking because this is some of the stuff that I do. You got to know your people. You got to know what gifts they carry. You got to know who's a preacher. You got to know who's a teacher / preacher. You got to know who's a minister, but they really not called to have a microphone in their hand. You got to know who the intercessors are. You got to know who the prayer warrior is on your ministerial staff. You got to know what section is what. You got to know who had the gift of prayer. You got to, these are things, it ain't all about who got the microphone. Everybody's not called to have, everybody may be called to be a minister, but it doesn't mean they're supposed to have a microphone in their hand. No, everybody's not an evangelist. Some are called ministers. You got to know exactly what and unfortunately, there's some preachers, y'all don't even know who y'all don't know what y'all people are capable of. You ain't invested into them. You need to know who's a fool on your staff. You need to know if I put this Bible in their hand, they're going to mess this thing up. You need to know that. So it won't be no surprises when you all of a sudden call. You got to know who's going to be obedient. Look, we have a program here. Yes, we have a program. And some of them folk will be saying, yeah, well, I got to move as the Spirit said, and the Holy Ghost told me not to stop. No, the program, the pastor said, you got 5 minutes to pray. You need to know on your staff who gonna go 7 minutes. You need to know on your staff who gonna go 10 minutes. Then you got to know who gonna do whatever they want to do and ain't studying nothing that you saying. You need to know that. You need to invest. You need to create an atmosphere. I'm sorry. You need to create an atmosphere that gives your other ministers the platform so that you can find out what gifts they really have. I'm saying you may have to do a Sunday if you don't have Sunday night services or Wednesday night or midweek, whatever your situation is. You need to find out what you don't need to do anything. Senior pastor, you don't need to do nothing. You need to let somebody be. You need to find out who the exhorter is, who has the gift of exhortation on your staff, as far as your ministers goes. That when your worship leader don't show up on Sunday morning, can you pass the mic to one of these ministers and they can become the worship leader just like that? You need to find out who the praiser is on your. You need to look. Everybody not called to preach. No. The disciples, and I don't mean to preach y'all, but the disciples, I mean, I don't see nothing that Matthew preached. Matthew was just a tax collector. He was the one walking with Jesus. He wrote down in the Bible what he saw. They were just writing stuff down. You don't see nothing. You see that Peter preached. You see Apostle Paul preached. You see that. I mean, come on now. Thank you. Thank you, Bro Phipps. Y'all see that? Kevin Phipps said, I'm in ministry, but my calling is counseling. And look, everybody has been saved by God. Okay. Usually every minister have been saved by God. They have a story to tell, but they don't have the gift of speaking. It's a difference. They may have the gift of relaying their testimony, but that don't mean that they have the gift of speaking. That's not. It's a difference, man. I'm serious. And for too long, the ministry has been. The standard is, did you pull it? God don't care nothing about you hollering a good 2 times, then act like you through, go sit down because you trying to bring the drama, then stand back up and holler one more good time. And for some churches that still go on, that's fine. And I'm not discrediting the celebration part of a message because I do it myself. I'm just saying it's something more real. This thing is real. We ain't got time. Look, you don't have. Yeah. I see you, Dave. Yeah. Too many preachers trying to mimic each other, copycat. I mean, I'm just saying, y'all. I mean, and I hate to say this, I really do, but let me tell you something. Because we have what I call renegade preachers, people who swear up and down that God told them to start a church or start an online ministry or start all this and that. This is our future. They don't believe in sitting down. They don't believe in being obedient, and they don't believe in, like Paul did when he got called. They don't believe that, there's a part of training. They don't believe just like Jesus when as soon as he was baptized, Bible say he went to the wilderness for 40 days there was a waiting period before Jesus even started his ministry. You know, Jesus had to go, had a training period for 40 days with the devil. Nobody don't want to sit down no more. This when I came up in preaching, you know, it was, you know, you called, you learn, you sit and learn. You learn. Some of that was learned by somebody talking to you. A lot of it was learned by watching and learning by example. A lot of it was your own personal study. These folks now that's being called, oh my God, they get called on Monday and they got a title by Friday. And then in another week, they're trying to buy a storefront place. And then 2 weeks later, they start in the church. I ain't listened or heard nobody. I ain't heard nobody. I mean, just renegades. And I'm not saying they don't believe in God. I'm just saying that I see you, Kevin Phipps. I see you. Yeah, a lot of them want to be served from the top. They don't know nothing about serving. They have their own agendas and all that. And this is what non-training will do. Hey, Jeremiah, I see you. This is what non-training will do. This is what social media have done to the ministry. This is what social media have done. Thank you, Kevin. Exactly. And let me clarify what Kevin just said. Kevin Phipps just said. Y'all see it. It's not that they are not called by God. It's just they took it to another level, and God didn't call them there. They called themselves there. This is what social media have done partly, and that's why I'm saying, and I function like this. I'm not a senior pastor, but I function in some areas as a senior pastor would. You got to find out who your Joshua is. Moses. You have to investigate. You gotta look at their mannerisms. You gotta talk to them, call them on the phone, see where they at. I ain't talking about get on there and have Bible study. You have to talk. See where they are when the church door closed. I ain't talking about get in their business. I'm saying see how they respond to real life issues. Throw up a scenario. This person here come up with this problem here. Look, no, we have to, because I've seen pastors that died during this time. I got a cousin who's a senior pastor who died. Caught COVID, died. And now the church is like, what we do? You gotta invest, bro, pastors. You got to. If you ain't got to name them, I'm gonna say it again. You don't have to name your Joshua. You don't have to name your Joshua, but you need to start looking for him or her. You need to start looking for him or her. You do. Especially our older pastors. I mean, good Lord. You're not going to stay here I'm not speaking death on you, nothing like that, but let's just be realistic. If you 68 years old, I see you, Jeremiah. If you 65, 68 years old, let's just be realistic. And I'm not a predictor, but if you think you're gonna be passing until you 90, we got to be real. Here on this chat right now, one of the most one of the youngest soldiers, preachers that's out here, Jeremiah Shaw, great preacher. I think you got Jeremiah. I believe Jeremiah is 16, if I'm not mistaken. I think he's 16. You're a great preacher, old spirit, preach like an old man. The example had to be set for him. Thank you, Kevin. I appreciate that. I don't have to brag on my resume. Everybody that know me, they know me, so I don't have to say what I've done. I'm telling you, there are areas where I serve, where I actually function in some areas as a senior pastor. So I know what I'm talking about. You have to invest into your people. And what are you leaving? What is your legacy? It is a shame if you've been a pastor for 30 plus years and you leave absolutely nothing to your preachers. What is the impartation? Your example is yeah, exactly, Jeremiah. Your example is a legacy. I get it. But if you're looking for more, if you're looking for your Joshua, you got to do more than just be an example. No, you're gonna have to do some hands-on training. Because you got to find out if this person is this person. You got to find out. There's no other way to do it. You got some preachers who are you got some preachers. I'm gonna handle this tonight by myself, Jeremiah. See, I got a whole bunch of preachers on here. I know all y'all can talk about it. I'm gonna handle this one myself tonight because I don't want to be on here all night long. It's 10:41. Some of y'all got to go to bed. You got to find out. I mean, you got to find out some of the small stuff. If I put you up to do a scripture and a prayer, and I give you time, I give you about 10 minutes. It shouldn't take that many. I got to find out if you're going to go 20. I mean, it's small stuff like that. Small stuff like that. See, the truth of the matter is this. And this is just not our younger preachers. This is some of our older, mid-age preachers too. They're thirsty for the microphone. And here's the sad part about it. It's bad, y'all. Y'all catch what I'm saying here. It's bad that when you get your opportunity that you've been so thirsty for, and now is your time to dance on the dance floor. Pass you the mic, and you can't dance. Then the pastor got to come behind you and try to fix what you done messed up. Yeah, I mean, but bro, pastors, if you would invest into your people prior to that, you would know who to put up and who not to put up. You gotta find out who the real ones are and who the straddle the fence ones are. You got to find out, and you can't do that just by walking into church on Sunday morning. You preach and then you leave and go home. You're not gonna be able to find that out. And if you are that person that can't do it, get you a Joshua, relinquish some of your pastoral duties. Oh, you still the pastor. Everybody still got to do what you say. But you, the pastor, relinquish some of that so they can find out, so they can report back to you what they know. At my church, that's I mean, let me stop. I just hate to see. We just had it happen. I just hate to see a pastor go down, and then the church is looking like they looking at a deer in headlights. It's like a cloud, a dark cloud just came over, and the church don't know what to do because their leader is gone. And naturally, if a leader leaves for whatever reason, of course the church is going to grieve and suffer and all that kind of stuff. But there should be somewhat of a smoother transition for the next person to step in that role. Because check it out, bro, pastor, I have a revelation for you tonight, just in case you didn't know. I know you don't want to think about it. When you die, that following Sunday, the church door is going to be open. The church gonna go on with all the grieving and all the tears and all the what we gonna do next. Guess what? The church gonna go on. Following Sunday, the church gonna go on. MLGNW don't care nothing about your pastor dying. Whoever you are in this country, whoever's y'all companies for your light, gas, and water, that meter still gonna roll. Yeah, that mortgage on that church. Guess what? They're not gonna put a freeze on it because your pastor died. The church gonna go on. Stuff got to be paid. David, I see what you're saying because you answering Phipps. You said, why does it have to be a Sunday night? Why not Sunday morning? That's the part what I'm talking about, David. Find out who's capable of carrying a Sunday morning service. The only way you're gonna get to do that sometime is, you're gonna have to give a little, you're gonna have to give a little something they can chew on, maybe on a Sunday morning, see how they do. Exhortation, put them up. If their spirit is rolling, they're gonna halfway preach for the exhortation part anyway. Usually you get to see how what they saying, you get to see how the congregation responds, all that kind of stuff. You get to do that. Put them up for altar call prayer. You can kind of gauge to see how they do doing altar call prayer, and you can figure that out. But what we do, the reason why Phipps is talking about that is because of what we done at our church, is that we designed a Sunday night service strictly based for our associate ministers, if you want to say that. I wouldn't preach at all. I wouldn't. I'm there, and they get to exercise their gifts. And that's the only way you're gonna really find, one of the great ways to find out is putting them up. Yeah, I mean, it's ways you can do that. The spirit of your discernment, as my mother said a little earlier, your spirit of discernment has got to be on point, because you're placing God's house potentially, or setting it up for God's house to go into somebody else's hands. You got to know who you putting the house of the Lord in, and you got to know whose hands you putting it in. You don't want to put no somebody's gonna damage the people. You don't want to put nobody up that's gonna kill the house. I mean, how are you gonna know unless you start working and trying to find out who Joshua is? Not exactly, David. Not exactly. Not exactly. But You don't need to see that. And you know, the question is, because of the crowd not being big, are you gonna preach like you would be if it was thousands up there? That's what I'd be looking for. They don't need the big stage. The pastor may not think they're ready for the big stage. That's the part of what I'm talking about. The Bible said, can you be faithful over a few things? Can you be faithful in your preaching when there's only a few people down there? Can you preach when there's only 12 people there? Are you going to cut yourself short? Are you going to tone your message down because there's only 12? But then if you get in front of hundreds and thousands up top, you're going to show out. What's the difference? Same message. The 12 folks can bring energy just as well as 1,200. They can bring that same energy. Everybody can push the preacher, push them, and you know. Can you get happy preaching when there's 12 people down there? Does it have to be 1,200 for you to take your message to another level? Nah, you ain't got to do that. If you real with 1,200 won't be a problem. That's just what we do. I ain't gonna say what we do. So you have to earn the trust of your pastor. You just can't throw folks up there and you don't know what they're about. Now, if you know what they're about, then you put them up. But if you don't know what they're about, you can't take that chance. You can't take that chance. You don't know what they're gonna say. Come up there and kill a church. I remember one time at another church, guy got up there talking about how he pinned his child down and because they bowled up to him in the preaching on a Sunday morning. They talking about how they pinned them down and was hitting them like this. Whole church died. Like, wow. It's almost kind of like the situation with Kirk Franklin that everybody talking about now. You know. I need to see. We live in a different time now. Yeah. Hey, cuz I see you. Look, we're living in a different time. Pastors are now have to. It wasn't like this when we were coming up, David, because social media wasn't here. Social media wasn't. It wasn't no such thing as social media. We didn't. James on here. We didn't have all this. Now senior pastors need to be doing an FBI check on their ministers' pages just to see what they do. For instance, our female preachers. Lord have mercy, I didn't want to talk this long. Our female preachers. See, if you're dedicated to being sexy on Facebook and Instagram, and then have a different life when you come in on Sunday, I can't put you up. If you was if every time you go to the club Love and you dropping it low and bouncing and twerking and all that, people not gonna respect you when you get up Sunday morning because they ain't preachers. They got the same Facebook page too. I ain't saying you can't say God ain't good. And for those that are coming in, I see you, kid. I've seen that happen. I've seen it happen. I'm not lying. I've seen it happen. You can't. It's just like me. Some people will hold me accountable because when I come on Facebook, I do something totally different with my podcast show. And you have people will say, man, I sure wish he would stop talking. Everybody know he's a preacher. I wish he would talk about the Lord and stop talking about the Cowboys and football so much. That don't have nothing to do with it. But check it out. But check it out, y'all. Listen, my pastor had the right to check my page out, see what I've been saying, and watch this. I'm submissive enough that if he come and tell me, man, what was you saying right there? That's not it. Why? because he's invested into me over the flock that he pastors. There are some things. Look, let me teach y'all something real quick so y'all know. Some of us don't understand it, and maybe it'll be a little revelation for some. If you're one of the preachers that wear collars, and whether you're not, we all in the same boat. But the collars that we wear, the collars, really there's a hook that's on the back. Now, I ain't talking about the thing that you clamp your button with. It's really representative of like a dog collar, like a leash. That's what the representative, like a dog. You put a collar around, so then when you get a little bit too far out there, the person that's controlling you it's like God's controlling you to pull on that leash to draw you back in. That's why we wear the collar. It's representative of a slave. Some preachers live by that code. Some people don't. And when you do that, you kind of have to watch. Now, y'all know me. I have fun. I'm gonna check a little bit. If you watch my podcast when I talk about the Cowboys, I'm having fun. That don't have nothing to do with the Bible. I'm still incredibly respectful. I'm just talking cow. I'm football talk. But even in that, I have to watch what I say because there are people that listen to me. I'm not being braggadocious. I'm saying there are people that listen to me. And one wrong move by me can kill a witness. I'm just, well, Keita, you're absolutely right. It's because they're not real themselves. But that's, I don't want to draw away from my premise of what I was talking about. What I'm saying is that we don't need the same mistakes of the past preachers who came up in a different way. It worked back then. When it comes to investing into your other preachers that have followed you, you have to start. The times have changed. You have to start looking for your Joshua, Moses. COVID is taking preachers out, and if they ain't took them out, they got sick. I got family members I'm not just talking just to be talking. I got family member, a pastor who has died because of this. And I had a family member who got COVID, who's a pastor. He's still here, thanks be unto God. Yeah. And when all of a sudden life hits just like that, what have you put in place in the event that you can't show up Sunday, or in the event that you go on to be with the Lord? Who have you invested into if the church and it's different, however, for different denominations. I get it. Kevin Phipps is on here, the AME church. They do this perfectly. They already got people. If I'm right, Kevin Phipps, help me out. The AME church, I believe the pastors they have is just for only a couple of years, and they move them out. Another pastor come in. Okay. The Baptist church, the tradition is that when the pastor dies, the deacon board, selects another pastor. And the only thing you can pray for then is you hope that the spirit of discernment is on all the deacons. That's all you can do. Then you have founders of churches, pastors who are founders. They pretty much can kind of do it wide open and say, okay, this is the person here who I want to be my successor. And can't nobody say nothing because they're the founder. There's no vote. There's no, there's no committee. There's nothing. It's what the founder says. That's it. Bam. But whatever denomination you're in, because of this COVID-19 situation, all of us should really be on one accord as far as this little area that I'm talking about. The old system. It's just my opinion. Y'all can argue it, whatever, debate it, whatever. The old system just don't work now. Everything has changed. We got a newer generation that they are hungry to be heard. Some of them should keep a muzzle on their mouth. It's just the truth. Some of them should be heard. Mostly all of them, though, want that stage. That's why you see a lot of Facebook pastors. That's what I call them, renegades. They don't have a church. They don't want to follow nobody. They don't want to follow nobody. Just break out and just start preaching. They want that stage. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all these other places where you may look, has provided them their worldly pulpit. That's what has happened because of social media, COVID, when everything got shut down. The Facebook evangelists just started popping up out of everywhere. No training, don't want to follow nobody, and the other sad part is you got ones that swear they following somebody, but they really not following. They don't even like what the pastor is saying. They're there for the name and the recognition, and they're using the name. They're using the name of the church as validation. Say, hey, I'm a minister from wherever. And then because somebody say, oh, you over there with that preacher there. Oh, we know you must be good. They ain't really investing to the ministry. They just that's why we got a bunch of church hoppers going around. I'm just telling y'all the truth. I got too many preacher friends. I know what I'm talking about. I'll tell you, Keita saying, but do we really want to hear them? Some do. Some do, Keita. Some have developed an online ministry. Hey, there's some, somebody gonna always listen to you. I seen some of these comedic like preachers that everybody laughing at. I don't want to call the name. Y'all know the dude wear the glasses, Mitchell, and the other guy. Folks just look at them just to laugh, but they started online, and you look at they live, and they almost got 1,000 people on there, and they just laughing at him because he sweating up a storm in his apartment, hollering and screaming. They ain't saying nothing, but just acting a complete fool. And folks, not comedic. He really trying to preach. They really trying to preach, and then you'll get me on here. Like right now, I'm looking. I got 9 people. And people like me, people like me. They know what I'm capable of as far as speaking goes. I'm just saying, it's kind of like Kirk Franklin. Everybody heard about what Kirk going through today, and I don't want to change the subject, but it's just like church folk love mess. The more controversy, the more hits you'll get. But ain't none of them folks that's talking about Kirk Franklin ain't saying nothing about they pastor and how he preached today and how they were blessed by the message or nothing like that. All you hearing about is Kirk cussing somebody out. Church folk love mess. Church folk love controversy. I'm just saying. Keita said we all out here by faith. Payne said it better knowing. Just came back to verify rather it's real, so we got to be open to hear others. I don't have a problem with who you listen to. My premise tonight is that we got to it be a shame for pastors who've been pastoring for 20 plus years and hadn't found somebody that they can trust and kind of make them a Joshua. They're Moses. The pastor is Moses, but they're Joshua. I'm speaking big biblical type terms. You know, you hate for be a pastor for all that, then they die, and then the church just suffers. And no, I'm not talking about people who y'all may be thinking I'm talking about. This is all over the country. I've seen it during this whole pandemic. No preparation. And the reason why, Keita, since you just jumping on here, I'll say it again for those, I don't know who looking at me. It's probably some folks looking at me right now just ain't clicked in. They just took the mute off. So if you're listening, the reason why it's like that, Keita, you remember we grew up, you know, talking about David when he said that my cup runneth over. Well, if the cup run over, that means the liquid is coming out of the cup and it flows down. A problem is with our preachers today is that instead of letting the liquid overflow, the problem is today is that they go get a bigger cup so it can't overflow because they want to keep everything to themselves. And you got preachers that have been talking about, I've been preaching for 10 years, and then you start, they don't know nothing. Don't know nothing. Don't know how to study, don't have study habits, don't know how to prepare, and don't necessarily mean you preaching with a microphone. You just don't know. Somebody has to teach evangelism. Somebody has to teach intercessory, you know, what it means to be an intercessor. Somebody has to teach the hips ministry. Somebody has to know that this is all stuff that's in the Bible. The Bible is still living. This Bible is still true. The Bible is still, those ministries was back in the day still work now. You got some ministers don't even know what to do on a hospital visitation. I mean, I'm serious. You ask them, I'm ordained. What does ordained mean? I don't know. How long you been a minister? 10 years. And come on now. You're licensed. I got a license to preach. What that mean? I don't know. When you get your license? 1989. And you can't tell. Somebody got to invest into your people that have decided to follow you. You have to, you know, it's a shame. It's a shame. I almost want to write a book about this because I feel like I can. I mean, I done been in it so long, you know, it's you know, the position that I'm in. I've been in so long, and I know the mistakes because I made some. I know the do's and don'ts. I know that. I know what it means to submit to your leader. I know what it means to follow your leader. I know what it means to be the gap filler for your pastor. And when I say gap filler, that means anything he needs, you're able to do at the moment of a snap of a finger. I can't tell you how many times I walked into the church, and some of those occasions, standing right there, and all of a sudden, Apostle Bill Atkins would say, "You up?" I can't tell you. We got service at 9:30 in the morning. I can't tell you how many times I got the call at 7:30 in the morning. Say, I'm not going to be there today. You got it. But the reason why he would make that call to me, because he know he can trust me, because number one, he know that I'm in this book. Now, I'm sorry. Some of y'all get mad. Some of y'all still hung up on by saying stuff like, well, he ain't got no Bible. Some of y'all got to catch up. It's okay to have a Bible on your iPad. Y'all do know that, okay? It say the same thing. I ain't got to have no hard copy. Some of y'all still hung up on it, okay? Some of y'all, I can't tell y'all how many times this doesn't happen to me. I can't tell you how many times it happened in my former church with J.L. Payne. I can't tell you how many times this stuff have happened. I didn't learn this at Bill Atkins. I learned this from J.L. Payne. You got to be ready for anything. That's how he trained me. Okay, right there. I got Reverend Jameson Sr. and Pastor Jameson Jr., father and son. We all came up under Payne. One thing we learned, we all had to be ready for anything. That's why I say the gap fillers. Bill Atkins look at me as a gap filler. There's nothing in that sanctuary, nothing outside of the sanctuary that he does that he knows that I can't do. Whatever he does, I can do it. Why? I've been trained. I was trained by Payne. I was trained by Atkins for his church. Things that work at J.L. Payne church doesn't work at Bill Atkins church. I had to learn his church. Y'all not. Yeah, I'm just trying to help y'all. You got to find that person in your church, bro, pastors. You're not going to be there. We living in a time where pastors will openly admit, say, I'm burnt out. I got to take a break. I got to take a sabbatical. That's what they say now. I got to take a sabbatical. Who is going to be that person to take over, or not take over, but substitute while you're not there? But pastor, you married. You may want to take your wife away. It's okay. But when you do that, who you got? Who do you trust that if you decide to take a 3-week vacation, do you have that person in your, and if you don't have it, you need to start looking for it. Listen, I've told, listen, I'm not a senior pastor. I have functions in my church, at the church where I serve, at Greater Money, where I have to function as a senior pastor. Why? Because he gave me that authority. So I function in some of the areas that he don't do. He give it to me. Business, some of the business, I got it. I'm just, and watch this. As a limited authority figure in the church, as assistant pastor, there have been times where I'm burnt out. So I can just only imagine what he feel like. I got some pastors on here now. I can only imagine what y'all feel like when the whole load is on you. Sometimes you got to get away. It's okay. But when you do, who is your Joshua? Who is it? Or are you going to keep everything to yourself? Your cup runneth over and you decided my cup run, okay, the cup ran over. You decided you're going to go get you a bigger cup so it don't run over. Because you want to keep it all to yourself. And your preacher just sitting there with some nice suits on. And the socks match the tie. And they sitting there just looking dumb. They don't know nothing. I mean, look, I'm sorry. Can't do nothing. Can't do nothing. Can't do nothing. Can't do nothing. And unfortunately, some of our pastors have raised their churches by bringing people in that do, that the standard is, can you scream and holler and jump in the air 20 feet in the air and all about that? Exactly. I see you, Greer. Yeah, all that kind of stuff. Everybody can't do that. Do you have somebody that can teach and preach the word of God, rightly dividing the word of truth? If you ain't got that, and some of you don't know because you ain't really invested into your people. I'm not talking about nobody here on there because I mean, I'm looking right now. I got my cousin, Pastor Jameson Jr. on here. This ain't nothing for him. He does that. Pastor Greer. No, I'm not worried about that. These guys I ain't talking about. These just Greer's a friend of mine, and Junior is my cousin. I'm not talking about them at all. You got to find you're not gonna always be here. I done seen young pastors die. I mean, I'm Jesus. Everybody, you ain't got to be old to die. No, COVID ain't. COVID don't have no age group. They get the young ones and the old ones. It's just fortunate that some people that have had it, have survived. They're not in the grave, but they had it. If you quarantine for 14 days, who do you have at your church for them 14 days that you got to be isolated that could carry your church in your absence? And if you don't have that or you hadn't thought about it, you need to start trying to look for your Joshua. That's all I'm saying. It's a shame to been following a pastor for 25 years and your pastor don't know your gifts because the pastor didn't invest and find out what your gifts really are. They don't know nothing. They don't know if you're a prayer warrior because they ain't gave you a chance to pray. I ain't saying you have to do it. I'm just saying you don't know. There you go, Pastor Greg. Y'all see what he just said? 38 years old. Now the churches are like this. Like, the church like, okay, where we go from here? See, when you're 38 years old, you ain't really looking for Joshua because you think you got another 20 years. You see what I'm saying? So you really ain't investing, but you should be. I ain't saying you got to name your successor. I'm just saying you Keita said we giving too much credit to COVID. God allows everything, even past the death. I agree 100% on that, but even in that, I'm still saying the same thing. It's the pastor's job to shepherd. It's the pastor's job to raise up the people. It's the pastor's job to know what his ministers are. It's the pastor's job to know what his choir doing, know who to put up and who need to usher. You know, a pastor need to know if this person ain't real hospitable, but they don't need to be a usher. The only way you're gonna know this is by looking. I'm just saying, it's just simple stuff. When it comes to the ministerial staff, it's the pastor's job to train his ministers. And if he's not doing, assign somebody to do that. This is real. See, this ain't in Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Well, some of it is what I'm saying. Some of it is in the Bible. Some of it is. Some of this is in the Bible. Some of this is in the Bible. But I'm just making it plain so everybody can understand what I'm saying. Start looking for your Joshuas. You don't have to announce it, but you need to ask God to give you the discernment to start looking because you just never know. I'm not talking death. You just may need to get away. And there's nothing wrong with that. You just may need to get away. Do you have that person in your church that you're confident and you're secure with that everything gonna be all right? No, we're not talking about the offering and all. I'm not even talking about that. Are you secure with this person in the pulpit that he's not gonna damage the church with the words that he say? That's the standard. This person is not gonna kill this church with the words that he say. He's not gonna be a nut, a fool in this pulpit. If I leave out of here, that's what you need. It'll take some of the load off on you. My cousin's on here, Junior, Jameson Jr. I love what he does. Junior, I hope you don't mind me talking about you if you're on here. I love what he does. I think I've seen it for December, the month of December. He takes completely off. And he's young. And he knows that the church coming to hear him, but he's trained the church, his church, up to where there are other voices that need to be heard. He takes completely off. It don't mean that he ain't there, but he does not preach for the whole month of December until I think Junior, I think you do New Year's Eve, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong. But that's what he does. You need a break. You got to find your Joshua. That's my whole premise for the night. All this other stuff, they ain't what I'm talking about. But preachers, start getting to know your folks. If you haven't done it, you got to start investing. You got to start finding out, so the stress won't be on you so much. I can only speak from my, I'm quite sure if my pastor was on here, I'm quite sure he would tell you this is what Doug Brooks have done for me. Keto says, look or let God raise up a Joshua and let God make room for him. Well, that's going to happen automatically anyway. I mean, the foundation of the world know who's going to be, the next pastor of every church. That's whether by death or not. You in your way, Keita, that could happen like that. But Moses kept Joshua close. Paul kept Timothy close. It was a training period. You ain't gotta. Okay. God spoke to Paul and said, keep Timothy close. That's what I mean. Moses kept Joshua close. Succession happens. You just gotta know when if God tell that person kind of keep your eye on this person here, that's the way you gotta operate. We ain't just talking necessarily to death. But what we got now is a bunch of selfish preachers. I hate to say it. You got preachers who go get a bigger cup when the cup run over. When the cup run over, they went and got a bigger cup. They didn't let the anointing flow down or whatever. Keita, what you talking about is something completely different from what well, it's not that much different, but it's just a slightly different angle. That's another whole hour of talking if I go your way. They ain't count. These lot of people, y'all understand what I'm saying. Keita, you understand too. I'm just saying you got to start doing, and the people on here, a lot of people know, you have to start investing into your people. You have to really start investing. You got to find out what they are. They got gifts inside of them. They do. It's your job to water those seeds that's in on the inside of them. That's all I got for tonight. It's time y'all go to bed. It's spring break for me. Y'all know I work at a school, so I'm off next week, so I'm good. I can stay here all night and talk, but some of y'all got to go to work. I didn't mean to do it, but the spirit kind of touched me on that just to say this tonight, that I'm seeing, just saw pastors die. I have family members that had COVID and died. I had pastor family who got it, lived, but that absence from the church, and the church be like, what? Who? I mean, church should never be in a position like that. Unless you got an online ministry. When you just by yourself online, then okay. I'm through. I hope nobody didn't get offended tonight. For those who are gonna look at this a little bit later on, I'm sorry, but what the Lord put on my heart to share tonight. I don't do this often because usually when I get on talking cowboy talk, that's what I do. But the Spirit of the Lord touched me tonight to try to, hey, who knows? If one person started looking for Joshua, then my job is done tonight. If one person just started looking with a keen eye for their Joshuas, then my job, or what I say at night, then this won't be a wasted conversation. At least if somebody just start opening up their eyes and start, times have changed, and we can't do it like the old preachers used to do. Just preach until you fall out in the pulpit and die. We can't do that now. The church is at stake now. It always was at stake. I don't want to act like it wasn't, but I'm just saying we don't want to put the church in that type of position. You got to prepare people for whatever. Yeah, we got. I appreciate that, David. Coming from you, David, I take that. We just gotta. We gotta change the mindset. We gotta change the whole strategy. We're at a place in church where we've never been before. We're dealing with a generation now that, you know, the importance of coming to church is not high on their list at all. We living in a time now where some of you guys that are pastors, y'all already probably catching this. Some of you have lost members. You ain't lost your members. You just gonna lose them as far as presence goes. We're dealing with this at our church. We're getting ready to come back. There's some people that used to come every Sunday, but now they have experienced for the first time the virtual service, and they fallen in love with it. And they ain't coming back. They're not. They like having their pajamas on, drinking coffee, eating eggs and bacon, and sitting right there listening to you. And ain't trying to get up, put no suit on, ain't trying to waste no gas. At least in their mind, they're gonna turn their phone on and they're gonna watch you right there, and then they're gonna click you out for another 5 minutes and go watch another preacher that they done fell in love with. With one touch of a button, you can visit 6 churches now in less than 2 minutes. This is the new standard that we have. There's a lot of people not gonna come back. They're gonna be there. They're gonna sit there. They still gonna support the church. But no, I'm breaking to another whole. Let me stop. I'm breaking to another whole element. And so the strategies, bro, preachers, sister preachers, the strategies of yesteryear. Yeah, exactly. That's a good one, David. If you're not up to date on these ways of giving online, you ain't gonna make it because they ain't coming back. Some of you got drive-by giving. That, you know, some of y'all got drop you some money, you know, you support off during the week. They ain't coming up there. This is another whole conversation. Let me stop. Let me go. The strategies of the 70s and the 80s and even the 90s and even the early 2000s not going to work now. It's not. And so we got to pray to God for the anointing and the wisdom to attack this time in the church. And nobody has all the answers. We learning on the fly. But we got to ask God to help us because it's a new generation. It really is. All right, I'm gone. I'll holler at y'all. Thank y'all for hanging with me for the night. Hope I ain't offend nobody, but you know, I won't say it's the truth. I'll just say it's my truth. And it's what the Lord put on my heart. You may not agree with it all, but some of this stuff, I'm not trying to get into a doctrine debate or you know, a debate on who wrong. I'm not doing all that. That's not how I roll. Hope that I didn't offend you tonight. Appreciate you for hanging with me. And yeah, I see you, David. Yeah. Well, at our church, we do it all. Drive by, Giveify, Cash App. We have a website where we give also. So, you know, the opportunities are there. But even on that note, you're dealing with some people are older members of the church. They don't know nothing about no online giving. They don't have those apps on. I mean, see, this kind of stuff we got to teach. You know, we got to teach beyond. You know, you got to teach real life. You know, it's just as simple. We got to teach. We got to put our product that we put out on a Sunday morning. We got to figure out how we become more effective online now. How does our online worship experience, does it match up to our Sunday morning, Sunday morning experience where the people are there? How can we produce that? I mean, it's nothing like being in the sanctuary, but we got to try our best to get close as we can to it online. This is a new day in church. And here we are. And so, these are strategies. The old strategies don't work now. We got to ask God to help us. There's no doubt about it. We got to ask God to help us because we don't know. All right. I'm out. Appreciate y'all. Hang with me. Hey, who knows? God may speak to me again and I'll come back with something like this. But I appreciate you so much for hanging with me tonight. All y'all on Podbean. Okay, hey. Some folks on Podbean. Hey, y'all. I'm sorry I didn't neglect y'all, but hey, appreciate y'all hanging with me. I'll see you. Hey, if y'all like my podcast, Tuesday night at 7:30. Y'all know I'm going back to my podcast show, sports show. So if for those that want to hang with me on there, I would appreciate y'all ear for a minute or so. Come hang with me. Y'all get to see the other side of me. And guess what? It ain't nothing wrong with it. It ain't nothing wrong with it. Man, I can't sing near my God to these 24 hours a day. I gotta have some fun. I gotta talk Cowboys, y'all. I gotta talk Los Angeles Lakers. I gotta talk to these Memphis Tigers. I got stuff to talk about. That's what my podcast show do. Every now and then I go spiritual like this, but my podcast show is about sports. All right. Every now and then I do something like this, but I'm out. I'll leave y'all now with my little music. Y'all just clap your hands and y'all gonna go to sleep, all right? I'm out. Holla at y'all. Podbean, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for hanging with me. Who is this? Too Much Sauce. Hey, Too Much Sauce. I don't know who you are, but appreciate you hanging with me. Come check me out on Tuesday, 7:30 p.m. I'll be talking cowboy talk. It'll be my sports show. But in the meantime, y'all have a good evening. We'll see you.